Algebra 1 students, welcome to your 5.4 notes on point-slope form of a line. We've already studied slope-intercept form of a line, where y is equal to mx plus b. Today we are going to look at point-slope form, an alternative way to write linear equations. The point-slope form of a line with slope m passes through the point x sub 1 and y sub 1. So when that happens, we get this point-slope form of a line. It is y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. So we have our formula. Now we're going to write the linear equation in point-slope form with the given point and the given slope. So basically, if we've been given this information, we can use the point and the slope to determine the equation of the line. So here we go. We've got y minus, well, that's a negative 7, so it's really a plus 7, is equal to m, so we write a 4, times x minus x sub 1, which is 4. All right? And when the instructions give us don't give us anything else, that's it. We're done. All right, so all you have to do is basically use the point and the slope to plug it in. So let's try it again on number 2. We've got the point 0, 5, and m is equal to negative 1/3. So we've got y minus, well, minus 5. And then we've got m, which is negative 1/3, times x minus 0. All right, and I'm going to actually simplify that because it might bother some of you that we've got a minus 0 there. We usually don't put something like that into an algebraic equation, but sometimes we do. So I'm going to say y minus 5 is equal to negative 1/3 x. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think you can probably handle number 3 on your own. Why don't you pause the video, give it a shot. All right, folks, welcome back. Hopefully you actually paused your video. You can see my work on number 3. I got y minus 12 is equal to negative 8 times x plus 5. So number 4, I've got the point negative 3, 0, and my slope is 2/5. So the equation of my line and point slope will be y minus, well, 0 is equal to m, which is 2/5, times x minus x sub 1, which in this case is negative 3, so it's a positive 3. And all right, folks, we're going to graph the equation now. We've actually been given everything we need in order to graph an equation because this is the point-slope form of a line. So I've got a slope of negative 4 over 3. And they've also given me a point to start with. I've got the point 2, negative 3. All right, so I can use that information to determine the graph of this line, and I can graph it. So I've got 1, 2, minus 3, 1, 2, and 3. So I've got 1 point right there. All right, and I've got a slope of negative 4/3. So I'm going to count down 4 spots and go to the right 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. So my next point would be right over there. And let's do this too. Let's count. Let's get one more point on our line plotted here. So let's go up 4 and to the left 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So I would have one more line right there. All right, and that, folks, is what our line would look like in this particular case. So for number 6, your notes obviously say try this one on your own. So go ahead and pause the video, give it a shot. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you got a graph that looks very close to mine. I got a slope of 1/3, and I used the point of negative 4, 5 as my beginning point because I'm in point slope form. And here's what my graph looks like. Alright, so for number 7 it says write the equation in point slope form. So what I need to do is I need to find a couple of points on here that look like they match up with an intersection of a couple of points on the graph that I can come up with easily. So let's change our color to black here. I'm going to use that point right there for the line of number 7, and then I'm also going to use, I could use one of these points right over here, but the big reason why I'm going to use those 2 points is because I can use those 2 points to calculate my slope by counting on the graph. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my change in y. Alright, and that's a positive 5. And then I've got 1, 2, 3 as my change in x. Alright, so my slope in this particular line is going to be, it's going to be 5 over 3. Let's see if I can get that right. Rise over run. Okay, so my slope is 5/3, and I need a point and a slope to determine the point slope form of a line. So the point that I decided to use first there was 0 and 3. So now I have enough information to actually create my equation. So I would have y. I'm not really sure why it won't, how come it won't write right there. I've got y minus y sub 1, which is 3, is equal to my slope, which we figured out is 5/3, times x minus x sub 1, which is 0. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video. Try number 8 on your own. Alright folks, welcome back. Hopefully you got the same answer as me. For number 8, there's actually several different points you could have used. I used the 2 that are pretty obvious there, and I ended up getting a negative 3 over 6 slope, which reduces to a negative 1 over 2. And then I plugged in the point negative 6, 0 into my point slope form. Alright, for number 9 it says write an equation in point slope form of a line that passes through the given points. Then write the equation in slope intercept form. So what we need to do in number 9 is figure out what the slope of the line is. We already have a couple of points, and we can use those points to determine what the slope is going to be. We've gotten pretty good at that because we know our slope formula, which is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Right? So we've got 0 minus a negative 2, which is plus 2, over 2 minus 4. And so in this case, we've got 2 over, well, negative 2, which our slope is negative 1 in that case. So m is reduced to negative 1. All right, so we've got our slope. We've got 2 different points that we could potentially use. I'm going to use the one that's 2, 0. So I've got y minus 0 is equal to negative 1 x minus 2. Alright, so I can reduce this to y is equal to negative 1x. Negative 1 times negative 2 is going to be a plus 2. And we don't really usually write that negative 1, so I would say it's y is equal to x plus 2. Alright, that one was a little easier because we've got a 0 involved. Alright, so number 10, let's do our slope first. So we are going to have 6 minus 1 over a negative 3 minus, well, negative 7, so that's going to be plus 7. So, boy, that 3 doesn't look very good, but that's a 3 plus 7. All right, negative 3 plus 7, so we've got 6 minus 1, which is 5, over, well, that's going to end up being 4, okay? So you can pick either point you want. Let's pick the -7, 1 point this time. So we're going to have y minus 1 is equal to our m, which is our slope, 5/4, times x minus x sub 1. In this case, it's -7, so I'm going to say plus 7. All right. So we're going to have to end up with a fraction here. Don't freak out. You guys can handle it. We've got 5/4 x plus 7 times 5 would be 35/4. All right. So I need to add 1 to both sides because I want to have it in slope-intercept form, which means I need to solve for y. I get y all by itself, just like we did in number 9. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides of my equation, and when I do that, I'm going to need to create a common denominator. Well, 1 is equal to 4/4, so I've got 5/4 x. Boy, sometimes my pen doesn't work. 5/4 x plus 35/4 plus 4/4, which is equal to 1. All right, so my final answer is going to be y is equal to 5/4 x plus 39/4. See, I told you guys could handle that. All right, folks, you can read your notes. It says try number 11 on your own. We'll see you back here in just a second. All right, folks, welcome back. I went ahead and labeled the difference between the point-slope form and the slope-intercept form on my work there for you. Hopefully that makes sense. See you on number 12. All right, folks, YouTube limits me to 15 minutes, so I had to shorten this slide. The first time I made it way too long, so I'm going to use a couple of tricks to cut the time down on it. Number 12 says, a family membership at a local gym is a linear relationship. The Smiths have paid $290 for 4 months of membership, and the Collins have paid $590 for 9 months of membership. Write an equation that models the cost, C, in terms of months of membership. So, folks, this is basically 2 points on a linear graph. I used those 2 points to calculate what slope is going to be. All right, so that is 300/5. And, folks, I can do that one in my head. That's 60. If you wonder how I did that in my head, I did 30 divided by 5, which is 6, and I tacked on another 0. All right, so that, my friends, is my slope. So I can plug into my point-slope form and figure out what my equation is going to look like. I'm going to have y minus, just pick one of the points. I'm going to pick the one that's got 290 and 4. So that is equal to 60 times x minus the point of 4. Okay? So there you have it. That is the point-slope form of that line. Now, my follow-up question says, what does membership cost for 1 year? All right, well, I'm going to need to move this into slope-intercept form. That makes more sense in this particular question. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply out my 60 times x and 60 times 4, so that's going to be 120 twice. So that would be 240. And then if I add 290 to both sides so that I can get y all by itself, then I'll have y is equal to 60x plus 50. All right? And I'm going to need to use my calculator because I can't do 60 times 12 in my head. That's how many months are in a year, by the way, in case you didn't know. I'll be right back. Hey, what do you know? The cost for 1 year of membership at this particular gym is going to be $770. Folks, thanks for joining us for our 5.4 notes. See you in class.